The flickering torchlight cast dancing shadows on the weathered stone walls as Royce and Hadrian made their way through the forgotten corridors beneath the ancient temple. The musty air carried whispers of secrets long buried, each step echoing with the weight of history. Their discovery of the hidden chamber had been purely accidental. A loose stone, a curious marking, and suddenly they found themselves descending into the unknown. The ancient scrolls they discovered told a story far different from the one they'd known, revealing that the church's founding wasn't quite as divine as the priests had claimed. As Hadrian held the torch higher, Royce's keen eyes caught sight of something that made his blood run cold. Fresh footprints in the dust, leading deeper into the darkness. The old keeper's hands trembled as she handed Arista the ancient tome. Her eyes, clouded with age but sharp with wisdom, held a desperate urgency. "What you seek," she whispered, "will change everything you believe." The princess felt the weight of the book in her hands. Its leather binding warmed to the touch despite the chamber's chill. As she opened it, symbols began to glow faintly on the pages, responding to her touch. The keeper's next words froze her in place. "They're coming. They've always known what was hidden here." The distant sound of boots on stone echoed through the corridors, growing closer with each passing moment. The pieces finally fell into place as Myron connected the ancient text to the modern prophecies. His hands shook as he transcribed the final passages, the implications too enormous to fully grasp. The true heir wasn't who anyone thought. The lineage had been carefully hidden, protected through generations of secret keepers. But as he reached for the last scroll, a familiar voice spoke from the shadows. "I believe you found what we've been looking for," said the Archbishop, stepping into the lamplight. Behind him, armed figures moved in the darkness. Myron clutched his writings to his chest, knowing he had only moments to decide, destroy the truth or let it fall into the wrong hands. The lamp flickered, and in that moment of darkness, he made his choice. In the flickering candlelight of the ancient stone chamber, Royce and Hadrian gathered with their unlikely allies. The air was thick with tension as maps were spread across the weathered oak table, their edges curling in the humid air. Princess Arista's fingers traced the secret passages while her emerald pendant cast dancing shadows on the walls. The plan seemed impossible, infiltrating the most heavily guarded tower in the Empire on the eve of the ceremony. Yet as Myron's trembling voice revealed the final piece of the ancient prophecy, even the skeptical Royce felt a shiver of destiny. "There's something you need to know," Arista suddenly interrupted, her face pale in the candlelight. "The tower's defenses, they're not just physical. The city streets of Aquesta had never felt more dangerous. As Royce slipped through the shadows, each footstep calculated, he could feel eyes watching from every corner. The information Magnus had provided was proving accurate. The guard rotations, the secret checkpoints, even the mysterious symbols etched into the cobblestones. But something felt wrong. The air itself seemed to hum with an ancient power, and the usual night sounds had fallen silent. When he reached the rendezvous point, Hadrian was already waiting, his face grim. "They know," he whispered. "Somehow, they know we're coming." Arista's chambers became a whirlwind of magical preparation. Ancient tomes lay open on every surface, their pages filled with forbidden knowledge that made Myron's hands shake as he translated. The princess worked tirelessly, weaving spells of protection and deception, each one draining more of her strength. But as the final enchantment took hold, something went terribly wrong. The emerald pendant shattered, its pieces scattering across the floor like drops of frozen light. Arista collapsed, blood trickling from her nose, but her eyes were wide with terror rather than exhaustion. "It's a trap," she gasped. The whole tower. It's not what we thought. It's alive. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the mist-laden fields, Arya and her companions approached the ancient ruins of Eldamore. The air was thick with anticipation and the soft hum of magic. "Do you feel that?" whispered Eldrick, his silver eyes reflecting the fading light. Arya nodded, her auburn hair catching the last rays of sunshine. "The veil between worlds is thinning," she replied. Suddenly, a melodic voice echoed around them. "I've been waiting for you." From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in iridescent fabric, their face hidden but for a pair of luminous eyes. The companions exchanged wary glances. Before they could respond, the ground trembled softly beneath their feet. The trembling intensified as ethereal lights flickered among the stones. "It's a trap!" shouted Lila, gripping her ornate staff adorned with crystalline gems. The cloaked figure laughed gently. "Not a trap, but a test," they corrected. With a swift motion, they unveiled their face, a visage both ancient and ageless, with silver hair cascading over their shoulders. "I am Seraphine, guardian of the old ways," they declared. Arya stepped forward, curiosity overcoming caution. "What do you want from us?" she asked. Seraphine smiled enigmatically, "Only to show you the truth." Suddenly, visions swirled around them, memories not their own, revealing long-forgotten secrets. The companions gasped as destinies intertwined and shadows of doubt crept into their hearts. Just as the visions began to fade, a dark cloud enveloped the sky. "Something's wrong," Eldrick warned, his voice tense. Seraphine's expression turned grave. "He is coming," they murmured. The air crackled as a rift tore open, and a shadowy figure emerged, eyes glowing like embers. "Did you think you could hide from me?" the figure hissed. Arya felt a chill run down her spine. "We have to stand together," she urged her friends. Gathering their courage, the companions formed a circle, their combined energies forming a radiant shield. The shadow laughed mockingly. "Your light is but a flicker against my eternal darkness." As he unleashed a torrent of shadowy flames, the shield began to crack. Arya closed her eyes, reaching deep within for a power she wasn't sure she possessed. The ground shook violently, and just as the shield shattered, a blinding light burst forth from Arya, illuminating everything. The shadow screamed in rage. When the light faded, Arya found herself alone in a vast void, her friends nowhere in sight. The first rays of sunlight pierced through the ancient stained glass windows of the new Empire's grand hall, casting rainbow shadows across the marble floor. Empress Modena stood before the gathered nobles, her silver crown gleaming with newfound purpose. The air crackled with magical energy as Royce and Hadrian watched from the shadows, their mission finally complete. Yet something felt different. The very fabric of reality seemed to shimmer with untold possibilities. As the Empress raised her hands, ancient runes carved into the walls began to glow with a warm golden light, responding to the awakening of the old magic that had slumbered for centuries. In the depths of the palace archives, Myron's trembling hands traced the lines of an ancient prophecy. The parchment crumbled at his touch, but the words burned themselves into his mind. Above, the celebration continued, but here in the silence, a terrible truth was unfolding. The monk's eyes widened as he connected the final pieces. The ritual that everyone thought had saved them might have opened a door that should have remained forever sealed. He had to reach the Empress before the last bell tolled, but the shadows in the corners seemed to move with their own purpose now. The bells of Aquesta rang out across the city as night fell. Arista stood on the highest tower, her hair whipping in the wind as she channeled powers that no human had wielded in 1,000 years. Below, the streets filled with golden light as ancient wards reactivated one by one. Royce's warning echoed in her mind. Some prices were too high to pay. But as the final bell tolled, something stirred in the depths beneath the city. The new era had begun, but none could say if it would be the salvation they sought or the doom they had unwittingly unleashed. In the distance beyond the city walls, a strange aurora painted the sky in impossible colors, and the air itself seemed to hold its breath.
Thank you for venturing into this realm with me. If you crave more enchanted worlds, mythical battles, and secrets whispered from ancient pages, join the Guild of Storybound Explorers. Subscribe now and ring the bell to unlock every new quest the moment it drops. The next chapter awaits. Will you answer the call?